Get ready for the Squawking Eagles Podcast, the show that covers only the Philadelphia Eagles. Think different. Think Squawking Eagles Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Squawking Eagles Podcast. And we are joined by a special guest today, Mark. Mark is here. How's it going, Mark?
Feels great to be back, boys.
Good.
Fresh
Right
back. Suspension.
off your suspension.
I got to give a quick apology to the fans who may have missed my lovely voice and face past couple weeks, and a second apology for anyone who did listen to the most recent podcast and had to listen to me mistakenly talk about Oregon and the Ducks in times I'm going to talk about Philadelphia Eagles.
I
having come straight off the Big Ten championship game and 4 hours of sleep, I got a few words confused. I was just very excited. It was a very exciting weekend.
I just got done editing and recording the our post game with the you got a couple ducks in there. It'll be coming out. It should already be out by now. But if you're listening to this now, go back and listen to his rants about his ducks. And
I'm trying to clean it up. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed. All of my little segments now are they're a little more detailed, a little longer, a little more like, hey guys, this is what I'm talking about.
It has to be. You know why? We just hit 700 subscribers on YouTube. It's got to be clean.
Let's go.
Got to be clean.
Hey, before you know it, we might catch up to Kelsey. You know,
she just passed Joe Rogan
in one podcast.
She just passed Joe Rogan in one podcast.
One podcast. She's the plan, Joe.
Wild. And Miguel is here as well.
You know what it do?
Buddy?
Not that we have anything to talk about today.
We got
nothing in the news, boy.
But you know we have.
You know what though? Since we don't have anything to talk about, I'd love to talk about the college football playoff bracket and how ridiculous that is. Let's,
That's on another podcast.
That's not the most backwards ass thing I've ever seen in sports. But yeah, another day, another podcast.
That's on the Quacking Ducks podcast.
That's the Quacking Ducks podcast. If you want to follow them on the No channel that we have,
that's my next startup. It'll be here shortly.
So
where do we start, Mike?
All right, so
the Flyers were the win tonight.
When you listen to our post game podcast during that whole thing, Miguel is talking about Jalen not making passes. Mark is talking about Darius Slay just being old, but he did have
one play. Him and Avante both had one play this last game, and I was like, all right.
Miguel's commented about my favorite player, Avante Maddox, making a play. Like, it's like, okay, so the whole thing we're talking about everything that Brandon Graham spoke about on WIP this week.
The person that's complaining need to be accountable. And I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he noticed, I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying. And I mean, 11 could be a little better with how he responds to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed. And I understand that because life happens. But it's the business side that we have to make sure that we don't let the personal get in the way of the business. And that's what we got to do better as right now, because we know it's an issue. Everybody's seeing with some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. You know what I'm saying? But we need to let personal stuff go and let's get right for this game, because man, it's like a lot of stuff most of the time it's just a conversation that just need to be had, but the person with the problem gotta want to talk to the person other than others. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, now you know how we all feel about Brandon Graham. Great Eagle, has most games played as an Eagle. Sad that he got injured. I don't think he's in the right spot to be talking about the team right now, because he's not on the field to back up anything he's going to say. He says that Jalen Hurts, he says one is trying. He's not turning over the ball. He's what my brother is calling him a game manager now. That's like our coveted word right now, game manager. And AJ Brown and him are buddies, and now you're telling me something. He's saying that something's wrong and that they're not buddies. I want to go with Miguel first because Miguel doesn't think there's much to say about this, or do you think there's a lot to say about this? I get from you that there's not a lot to say about it.
No. I mean, it was a little bit of sarcasm connected to that. But you know, I got to listen to WIP this morning. I got to listen to Brandon Graham kind of walk back what he said last night, and I got to hear Nick Sirianni's view of what was going on. Seemingly, it almost at first, like during the game, I was noticing that, you know, AJ was becoming open on these slant routes, and Jalen would look at him and then look him off and just not give AJ the ball. There was one specific play that I think AJ, it was we were in the red zone. AJ ran a slant route and was open, but Jalen ended up throwing it to Galcatera, who caught the ball in the end zone for the touchdown. And that interaction, like that whole game, I just saw the interaction between them. And I would see Jalen go to the sideline. He wasn't talking to Nick Sirianni. He wasn't talking to any of the receivers. There was just hints that whole game that I saw that there was something off about this team. It was kind of reminiscent of what we experienced last year with the 10-1 and then falling off from there. So I don't know exactly what the cause or what the issue is, or if AJ's just frustrated that he was just getting the ball, but there's got to be a reason behind it, right? Brandon Graham, after he said what he said last night on the radio, came on this morning again to kind of walk back, because he was talking, well, from his words were that he was talking out of school. He didn't really know what the issue was, and that he doesn't think that this is a reflection of what happened last year. He's like, he thinks that there's more communication than there was last year. Last year, there was no communication at all. And then listening to Nick Sirianni, he kind of downplayed the firestorm. But that's his job as a coach, is to try to, you know, stop the flames.
Yeah,
right?
Put out fires. Yeah, he's gonna put out a fire. I would say it's a small fire right now.
Yeah, but we don't like. I think like the media is. I don't want to say the media is making it a big deal, because even though we're just a small podcast, we saw it for ourselves, right?
Yep.
There were people that came on the WIP this morning making phone calls that they were at the game, and they would see during the TV timeouts, they would see AJ Brown like 15 yards away from the rest of the offense, like not intermingling with anybody, not being communicative with anybody. So I think the issue is with AJ Brown. Whatever his issue is, whatever transpired between Jalen and AJ, they were friends coming into this. They went they played together in college. They're now playing together. We're excited about coming to the Eagles together, and just seems like an awful nightmare that we're repeating again.
Right, and then of course AJ Brown changes his IG profile with the Joker. Like, he's not Batman, Soul Batman anymore. He's the Joker.
Right. He's the bad guy, because everybody's painting him as the bad guy.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know what to make of all of this. It kind of makes me worry about how the season is going to finish out. You know, then you also had McNabb and T.O. throw their 2 cents into this whole mix, right?
Of course.
So it's just that this whole situation reminds me of that T.O. McNabb situation. And then I hope that we've learned something as an organization to now be able to, as men, just come in and talk about what is the issue. Is the issue with Jalen, or is it with the play calling from Kellen Moore? Like, there's no real clarity on it. Like, people jump to conclusions that it was AJ talking about Jalen Hurts. But the way that Sirianni kind of spun it was that he doesn't think that he was talking about Jalen. He was talking about the play calling.
Right. Well, the question, like, I guess you could say that, because what the question was asked to AJ Brown, he goes, what can be improved on this team to make it, you know, and he says passing.
Right.
That could just be because Kellen Moore has called a lot of running plays, so
Right.
he wants running plays.
But I mean, that's the thing is like, okay, you say that, but the plays that we saw that he was open, which were a lot of them were slant routes, but there was one where he was open 40 yards deep, and Jalen all had to do was chuck it. He like kind of short armed it. It could have been a 70-yard touchdown had he thrown the ball correctly.
Right.
So
he is playing cautiously. I know Mark is like chomping at the bit here. Well, literally, I've seen him chomping on something. Mark, what are you?
So I want to go back to that initial comment.
Welcome back.
Thank you. They asked AJ Brown, "What's wrong with this offense?" And he said, "Passing."
Yes.
Well, let's look at stats, boys. Let's look at stats. Arguably, statistically, we are the second worst passing offense in the NFL.
31.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Now, question for you guys, real quick: if I were to ask you, or any sensible NFL fan, to name top 10 receivers in the NFL, skill-wise, in that top 10, would you name AJ Brown?
Yeah. It's top 3, top 5.
Agreed. So if I were to read a list of like the top, 20 receivers, you would expect he'd probably be up there. I mean, if I'm looking just at the top 5, I've got CeeDee Lamb. You're expecting him up there. I've got Jamar Chase. You're expecting him up there. I've got Malik Neighbors. I've got Brock Bowers and Garrett Wilson. They're the top 5 players for targets this year.
Oh, really?
Now, Neighbors is the only offensive weapon they have. Brock Bowers is the only offensive weapon they have. However, at 12 is Wandale Robinson, so he's getting a lot of targets. Do you know on the list of receivers in the NFL, that's receivers, tight ends, running backs, anyone who's received the ball, do you know where AJ Brown ranks in targets?
I would, I know that he hasn't had double-digit targets since week 1, so he can't be that high.
No. Funny thing, he has one spot and 2 targets above Stephon Diggs, who hasn't played for 5 weeks.
Yeah,
he is currently at 56 with 66 targets.
Yeah.
Now, all of the top receivers in like the top 20, all of over 90. They're 90 to 100. The top 15 are all 100 targets already this season. Yeah. Now, I know that we are a run-first offense, and I, of all people, will tell you that's the good idea. That's why we are 11-2. Because we are a run-first offense. We should be a run-first offense. Saquon is the MVP in my eyes if he just gets a few more touchdowns and start giving it to Hurts. However,
11. He went down the 1 yard line at 11 times. He missed 11 touchdowns.
11. That puts him. My math correct? That would be over 20 touchdowns then, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good number. So he'd be at 19. He'd break 20.
Yeah.
However, I have to then point to the fact that exactly what Miguel was saying. I understand if we're a run first offense, that's completely cool. I want to run the ball 25 times a game, easy. But when we do throw the ball, we have a top 5. I argue, just because I know there's other fans out there, they're going to argue other stupid things. I say clearly to me, a top 5 talented wide receiver who is arguably the best at slant routes and getting that big body move to cross the game, take the ball, and when he gets it, how often he makes plays to gain an extra couple yards, whether it be 2 or 20 or 100, he makes those plays. If I am him and I see that we have this phenomenal team with this defense that's gotten better, we've got a running back doing what he's got to do. He's got everything we need. All we need to do is, maybe take some pressure off Saquon by having a few good short passes. The linebackers have to hold steady. Well, hey, that's what I'm the best at. Why am I not getting the ball? Why is it that every single play we have a pass will have as I have purposely bitched and moaned about, a slant, a mesh route, whatever, and somewhere in that group is a go route. And it doesn't matter if the underneath is open, if the slant's open, if the mesh is open, it doesn't matter. If they could all be open, if Jalen thinks there's a chance, he's throwing the deep ball every time. Every single time. It's like, you know what? Send it. And it's like, but you have 10 yards in front of you.
Yeah.
We could just march down the field. You don't need on 2nd and 7 to throw the deep ball and then 3rd and 7 try to do a QB draw. First off, Kellen Moore, the QB draws got to stop. They don't work. They literally don't work. Jalen Hurts can run the ball. He does it better on a scramble.
You shouldn't be using a quarterback draw with Saquon Barkley as your lead blocker.
Especially not right after he ran the ball, too. That was the worst thing ever. But back to the original thing is, I don't blame A.J. Brown for saying, what's wrong with the offense? Passing. Yeah, clearly, statistically, passing is our weak point. No other top offense has a top running team sucks at passing. They all have a top, a top
10. They're top 10.
Team.
They're top 10.
That's how things work. I think the Commanders is like 14.
Yeah.
But you have a top offense by having a top rushing and top passing. Rushing should be your leader. I'm glad we have the best rushing offense. We shouldn't be 31st in passing. I wouldn't care if we were 18th. 18th is fine for me.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to be the best passing team when you're the best rushing team, but you can't be dead last because it becomes one-dimensional.
But you also got we're also talking about a team that is 11-2. They their defense is keeping them these teams under 20 points a game.
Which agreed. But let's also point out what happened. 2 games we lost. What was the missing key?
Pass the game.
More particularly, AJ Brown.
Well, AJ Brown wasn't there. Yeah,
he's not on the field.
Now, Miguel, you in the post game, you said when the Eagles are in the playoffs, they're going to be playing good team. They're going to be playing good teams. A lot of the comments on Instagram during this week is the Eagles haven't played anybody. That's the whole story they like to put out there. The Eagles haven't played anybody. Washington's a playoff team.
Green
Bay's a playoff team. Tampa Bay is a playoff team. Atlanta's in the hunt. These are all
Pittsburgh.
We're about to play.
Pittsburgh's a playoff team. Baltimore's a playoff team. I'm not sure what people are smoking or just ignoring the fact that nobody wants to see the Eagles be 11-2. Nobody really wants to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like we were talking about earlier is that the mainstream media likes to push whenever there's a negativity going around the Eagles locker room or Eagles leak out something. Mainstream media likes to jump all over that to say that Jalen Hurts is not the person that's going to take the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is not the guy who's going to beat you with his arm. Jalen Hurts is not the guy who is going to take a team, who's down by 7 points and win the game. This is like people that jump all over this because the week before, everybody was like, Jalen Hurts is the guy. Jalen Hurts is this. One comment from a guy who's not even playing, who's not even on offense. He doesn't play offense. And the mainstream media is all over it. So I want to put just I just want to say that I don't think there's a problem.
Okay.
I don't think there's a problem with AJ and Jalen Hurts. I don't think there's a problem with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. They were on the sidelines praying together. They're on the sidelines talking and handshakes and all this stuff. If you're having problems with a guy, you're not doing those things. You're not being jolly and cordial. You're just being. You're not gonna have fun. I know that for me. I don't do that. I do that with family members. I will be. If I'm not having a good time, you'll know reason why I'm not having a good time. But I don't think there's a problem.
There is a problem. Just not in that sense.
It's not the problem is with the play calling. It's not the player. It's not the players.
Play calling. I still see until I see proof that says otherwise. You cannot convince me that the decision making of Hurts is not hurting us.
Yeah, I was
choosing not to take the underneath routes is a problem.
I saw Baldy. Baldy likes to break down a lot of the stuff, and he was talking about Jalen Hurts. There was a pass where AJ Brown looked like he was open, but he didn't throw it because there was 2 guys around him that he wasn't sure if he was going to come back. He's going to do a comeback. Jalen Hurts is overthinking a lot of things, but he's not turning the ball over. They are winning games.
True.
I hear you, but when you watch the game and you see slant routes that are 5 to 8 yards, away from the line of scrimmage that are wide open, that that he's been hitting AJ with those same routes earlier in the season, and now he's not doing it. It's like, what is going on? Like, why is he making that decision? I don't. It's not like Carolina had like a shutdown corner. You know what I mean?
No. Well, also, like, think about this. Like,
They had one. And he got hurt.
they all have contracts. They all got their extensions, so they're not worried about making their stats. They're not padding their stats so they get their contracts. Correct?
Right.
Yeah. They are in this league to win games, right?
Agreed.
So Jalen Hurts, if AJ Brown is open, Jalen Hurts is going to throw it to him. He's not going to throw it to him because he's upset with him in the locker room, right? That's not something that's not going
to happen. But
as a professional, people saying that they're not going to throw to him because they're upset.
Well, that's people are stupid.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not going to work. That's not going to fly.
I don't think there's a problem between the players as people. I do think they still get along. Clearly, we see it on the sideline. I do think AJ Brown's frustrated because I think he knows he's open. And I think he knows that Hurts is kind of performing a Wentz style play where he's doing the hero ball. He wants the deep passes. And I think everybody knows that. And I think particularly because Hurts knows we're a run first offense, he wants to try to take advantage of the few plays he has by trying to throw the deep ball when he can to try to prove everyone that he's that quarterback. He's not a game manager. And look, bud, we know you can do better. It's fine. We know you can make those deep balls. Just take the slants that are given to you.
Right.
I'm sort of wondering if some of this is theatrics. For the simple fact is, right, so we've been complaining also, well, I've been complaining all season how we haven't been putting points up in the first quarter, right? And then it comes out a couple weeks ago, hey, in the first quarter, we're doing certain looks to see what the defense is giving us, and then we adjust from there, right? That was right. Quoted from Kellen Moore.
Yep.
So I'm wondering now if, just listening to after Brandon's comments last night and then into today and then hearing Nick Sirianni, right? What if this is like they're putting these plays on tape, on film, so then when playoff time comes around and they go, the team that we're facing sees this lineup and sees that Jalen doesn't go to AJ. You know what I mean? He goes this way instead. It could be a chess move. You know what I mean?
So the Eagles are playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers.
Yep.
I love to agree with you on this, but I remember us talking about this exact style of design last year, and it wasn't. It was just a collapse, and so I can't get behind.
But that's my fear, though, right? Because it's
Nick
like
Sirianni playing chess. I don't know if he knows how to play chess, bro. Does he know what the difference between a bishop and a pawn is? I don't know.
I mean, he does seem a little bit. Oh shit! The Yankees just signed Max Fried.
Yeah.
Lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Okay. No, we got you. I mean, yeah, I think, like, don't get me wrong. I think there's also a little bit too much hate on Sirianni. I think Sirianni's been doing actually a pretty decent job. I think he signed the right people this time. I think there was a little bit of a change up from last year, and I kind of like the way that I like the way the defense is looking under Vic Fangio. The offense it gives me questions.
It's slow. It's slow acting. It's slow acting.
But the defense gave me a bunch of questions this weekend too. This past Sunday, like if Legret or whatever that guy's name was doesn't drop that ball at the end of the game.
Legette, yeah, Xavier Legette.
Tell me one player that's not going to drop that ball. That hit was vicious.
Well,
the one that was deep into the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
And like we thought he caught it at the 1 yard line, but it ended up wasn't a no catch.
I don't know where he got hit. I was like,
the one that CJ hit him.
Yeah, that one.
I'm surprised he got up from that.
Definitely murdered somebody on that play.
That one was insane.
Yeah.
The drop was just a drop that was crazy. I agree with you there. Like, yeah, there's definitely some pause. At the same time, though, I've continued to see, and I see it with a lot of games, and we're going to keep getting it because of who he is. Jalen Carter is probably the most held player in the game right now.
Yes.
And they have to, because if they don't hold him, they need to triple team him. And if you triple team him, someone else is getting to the quarterback. That has been every game they haven't been holding. We get through. So now they're getting away with holds. So the team gets away with a little more. I will say Bryce Young surprised me with his escapability. Yeah. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And, but we still held him under 20.
He's small and he's quick. He's just very agile. He was able to get away quickly. Like it's like chasing a freaking leprechaun. It's like Lucky Charms over there.
Yeah, it looked, him. He looked different compared to what he was last year, and he was better than I expected to be. Expected to be.
I agree.
I think a lot of the Panthers were better than everyone expected it to be.
Yeah, I mean, they're only running back, and we couldn't stop the running game. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, it was. And Adam Thielen decided to turn the clock back again, and he was like catching everything out in sight.
Yeah. Slay said that he played when he played against him. Like that was his thing, was that scramble drill.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna say, maybe Slay doesn't need to be there as much.
I mean,
maybe
the defensive play at the end of the game. So
at the end, he made. Which, you know what? That's normally where Brandon Graham comes in. It's that end of the game where the veterans come in and cover when your young guys are tired. It's a good spot for you, Slay. But I'm thinking Quinyon, Cooper, a little bit more Keeley in there, a little Isaiah Rodgers, kind of get the start going, and then if something's not going well, sub Slay in.
Yeah, the way the Eagles defense plays, they're gonna play hard, and they're also gonna it looks like they have a potential to get injured a lot. CJ was out, I think, 2 or 3 times with potential injuries.
Yeah, well, he got concussion protocol, which he cleared.
Twice.
Came back.
Yeah,
and he said he got friendly fire into his abs.
He was like, he was dying on the field. Like,
I will say, it's nice to see a safety in an Eagles uniform that goes at it.
Yeah,
but I don't need him falling off. I mean,
the Eagles were missing Sidney Brown. They were missing Reed Blankenship. They were missing who else? They were missing somebody else on defense.
Well, Brandon Graham,
obviously. But Jalix Hunt showed us up, and he's chasing guy. He might be a promising guy, like a steal in that draft.
If you get Jalix Hunt and Trotter to be our backups to what has been the most dominant tandem in linebackers this year with Bond and Dean,
Zach Bond is playing out of his mind. Like, he's
phenomenally.
I give that guy an extension right now. Everybody should start pulling some money together to give that guy some money, because he's playing better than I think anyone would have even expected.
On a $1.3 million contract.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Like, you were saying earlier, like, oh, they've got their money. They're not trying for stats. Zach Bond doesn't. He is stacking them stats.
He is.
He's like, you guys, no one wanted to pay me. So let me prove why you should pay me.
So our 2 words. Miguel gave us a word at the end of that game. It was called regression. So you said the Eagles regressed during that game. Jalen Hurts regressed in that game. Mine was frustrated. I was frustrated during that game. Frustrated with the defense. Frustrated with the play calling. Frustrated with the way everything was. Like, the score changed 5 times. The lead changed 5 times. That shouldn't happen against the Carolina Panthers.
Exactly. I mean, you had this game 42-0,
45-0.
That was a bad idea.
45. Mark, I looked past this game. When we started this,
So did
we started last week's podcast. I said, I don't really care about the Panthers. I'm looking past the Panthers, and I want to talk about the Steelers.
It's weird. It's almost like you're about to say my word for me.
What's that?
Trap.
Yeah, it was a trap.
Who did we play last week?
The Panthers we played last week.
I mean, before the Panthers.
The Ravens.
The Ravens.
Okay. And they were arguably a top team in the AFC, right?
Yep.
Everyone said they were going to beat us.
Everybody except Randy Moss.
Okay,
By the way, we're Randy Moss.
This week?
What's that?
Who are we facing this week?
Pittsburgh
Steelers.
Another top team in the AFC, arguably better than Baltimore, seeing how they beat them.
Yeah,
arguably,
arguably, but
so if you're gonna take those
smoky mirrors.
You're gonna take those 2 games though, and right between them, you're gonna say, "Hey, here's the worst team in the NFL, who happens to be resurging with amazing games against the Chiefs, who are kind of mid, and whoever else they played the other week that also was shocking how well they played."
Tampa Bay.
Almost like the definition of a trap game.
Yeah, it was. Now we've moved past this trap game. And now we are going to see Russell Wilson without George Pickens, probably. George Pickens will not be playing, probably. He's out.
From injury or?
Yeah, injury.
Yeah. Okay. I know he got quite a few penalties for just baloney actions. So He like threw a ball on a player or something for nothing, or what was that he did?
I don't know. I'm not. This isn't a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. I don't really know too much about. I just know that he's possibly not going to be playing.
That makes things a little easier on us.
Yes. So with that, with a weapon being taken away from Russell Wilson, who has found the fountain of youth in Pittsburgh, I think it's because of Mike Tomlin. That guy really knows how to coach a team. He knows how to coach a team.
I mean, you don't coach positive seasons your entire career.
It's impossible. It's literally impossible.
Unless you're Mike Tomlin.
Right.
Who I think, honestly, has been given the short end of the stick with his only great players always being absolutely insane. Like Le'Veon Bell, I'm just going to skip out this season. Antonio Brown, do I need to say more? Big Ben, he had his problems. Russell Wilson, we just saw what he did last year with Denver. He's not all here. But he makes it work. Every time Kenny Pickett's hands are half the size of mine. And he made it work. How does he make that work? That's coaching at a whole new level. Right. Imagine that man coaching a team that actually give him the players that were on like Tampa, or give him the players that are on, San Fran. That's a frightening team.
I mean, I kind of wish Tomlin was our coach.
Right.
I
missed opportunity.
But at the same time, it's as crazy as it's been. There's a part of the passion of Sirianni that just resonates with Philly, and statistically speaking, he is one of the winningest coaches in his term.
I just watched a YouTube video about Nick Sirianni's mentor at the college he played at. I forget his name is Larry
Fitzgerald.
Larry something. I can't remember his last name. Keuchel, or I don't know. But this guy apparently is he's like this Division I coach ever. He's won like 3 or 4 or 5 national championships. And they're saying that this is the guy that is the reason why Nick Sirianni is being so successful in the pro game. I'll send you guys a link. I'll link it in our into our in our chat here. So the Eagles, they have an opportunity to win out, win out the rest of the year. Saquon Barkley is 483 yards away from passing Eric Dickerson's record from 1984. That's not a lot. Like, that's 4 games.
And he's averaging 100 yards a game.
Yeah, and like this last game, I felt like he wasn't even on the field. Like I felt like was even on the field during that game.
Well, no, the first quarter he had some equipment issues, right?
Yeah, it was a problem for me. It was bothering me.
I don't know if he's going to play the last 2 games. Or at least, I think sparingly. If we win the next 2 games, I think he's very sparingly used in the divisional games. It doesn't matter. Because the games don't matter at that point. We'll have it unless we're fighting Detroit first.
If Detroit loses to Buffalo this week, and there's a very good possibility that they lose to Minnesota.
Know if I think very good.
It's a good possibility. Buffalo just lost to Los Angeles Rams.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game. There was no.
By the way, the Rams' offensive play calls, I wish Kellen Moore would come up with. Yeah. Some of these plays, they're just.
We don't have.
You know what else I'd like to see? I'd love to see the amazing plays that the Zebras had against the Chargers the other day. Whoa! If we could get some of those plays, I mean, talk about winning.
Yeah, it's the Zebras love the Chiefs. You can't deny that.
Like it's actually disgusting.
It's George Pickens doubtful versus Eagles hamstring.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. Thank you, Miguel.
No problem. Thank you for the injury update. I'm glad to see Smitty was back. I do see we lost Goddard, which just happened to be coincided that I just happened to be quick on it and pull up Calcaterra on like 4 different fantasy leagues. So that worked.
Yeah, you actually pulled it up, set it, didn't you? In our fantasy football this year.
Yeah,
this game.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm pissing off Miguel's league, that's for sure.
Miguel made it past round 1 in my fantasy football league. Big upset against big upset.
I wasn't paying attention.
You should look it up. Big upsetter from you. Going to round 2, Miguel.
Let's go.
Do we have playoffs? What this
Daddy
week?
needs
or-
that money.
Last week started our playoffs.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Hold on,
Yes.
you're saying that a trophy is currently in the back. There's a chance it's going to stay right here where it belongs.
So you're playing my brother this week. My brother just put up 184 points against me.
Yeah, well, that was last week. Now all the teams on the bye. So,
No, he's got Jamar Chase. So that's pretty much.
who are they playing this week?
I don't know who they're playing this week. Chargers? No, I don't know.
The Bengals this week are playing. Oh God!
So a listener brought it to my attention that the Eagles' record in 92 seasons is 635 and 638. They are 3 games under. And 27 ties. They're 3 games under 500 for the season, for their entire existence. They need to win out to be above 500 to end this season. That is something they need as an accomplishment.
Who's this?
A listener pointed out to me in a text messages. Shout out to Pete. Their playoff record is 25 and 26, so they can also be a playoff where they can be over the 500 mark in the playoffs.
I almost wish you hadn't brought it up.
Why?
I had to look it up, and the best win percentage in the NFL just doesn't feel right.
What is that?
It's Dallas.
Dallas has the best win percentage?
They have won 562 games to 413 losses in 981 games. They have a 5.576 win percentage, just over the Green Bay Packers. Granted, Green Bay has 1,400 games played.
Dallas came out in 1960 too, right? It's 1960 they came in. So.
But weirdly enough, there's a few teams also out there from 1960. But we're a little older.
Patriots are 1960. Patriots, I think, are 1960.
Patriots are 1960. Chiefs are 1960.
Yeah.
You got the Broncos on there, the Raiders on there.
Yeah.
And the Chargers are all 1960 teams. Dude, how are the Chargers over us in win percentage? I mean, hopefully at the end of the season they won't be, but damn. The Chargers have been pretty bad my entire life.
Well, they went to the Super Bowl a few years back, before you were born, with Stan Humphries.
When in the world did they go to the Super Bowl?
They did go to the Super Bowl. They played the Super Bowl against
LaDainian Tomlinson.
who did they play against?
They played against.
I think the Pack was it the Pack?
No, bro. They won a league championship before 1970 in 1963.
Yeah, but I'm talking about they have been in the Super Bowl. They haven't won a Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah, I say they've never won a Super Bowl.
They've never won a Super Bowl. They have been
in
to
1994. They went to the Super Bowl. I was alive for that.
Who was it? Who they play against?
I don't know. It just shows that they were there.
94. I think it was against the Packers.
I don't think it was the Packers.
Packers or Cowboys? 94. Oh no, it was 49ers. I can't remember.
I can't remember. No, it's
94. 94 is a long
Anyway,
time ago.
back to the Eagles.
94 is a long ass time ago.
It was Dallas and the Bills, so I was wrong that I even read. I read that incorrectly anyway. So cool.
So I like to keep track. Eagles can be over the Schneid by the end of this year with 4 wins. They would be over 500 as a franchise record. So
one game at a time. Let's go to the Pittsburgh statistics here.
Yeah.
They've had 81 meetings. They played against each other. The Eagles lead the series, 49 wins, 29 losses, and 3 ties. The last time the Eagles played was in 2022 in a regular season game against the Steelers.
And we know what happened during that game.
What happened during that game, Mike?
That's the game where A.J. Brown went berserk. I think he had 2 touchdowns, like 250 yards. Like he was insane. I feel that's going to happen this week, only because of all the talk. I think A.J. Brown's going to go nuts this week. What do you guys think? Let's hear. Let's see some game predictions.
I just want to correct myself real quick.
Sure.
So the Chargers won the 94 AFC Championship, leading them to the 95 Super Bowl, where they lost to the Niners.
Yeah, see the 49ers. Okay.
Yeah. So my apologies there. Going back to this.
That was the year Steve Young got the whole monkey off his back kind of thing, where he beat.
I was alive for that. I was young, but I was alive for that.
How young were you, Mark?
At the time of the Super Bowl, I
Yeah.
was looking at 3 in front of me.
Man. I remember that Super Bowl.
I don't.
I do.
I didn't even. Where was I? Don't even know where I was.
Let's see, 94. I was 14. I knew Miguel. Me and Miguel hanging out.
There you go.
All right. So, what was your question?
Crazy, Miguel. That was crazy. That's crazy.
You guys were friends. When I was a toddler.
I've known Miguel for a long time.
Long time, bro.
I was toddling around like one of the students you used to teach, and you were friends with Miguel. How about that?
That is pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty nuts. Miguel, let's hear about analysis, game predictions for Pittsburgh Steelers this Sunday. By the way, it's been flexed from 1 to 425.
They flexed it. I always thought it was 425 just from the rip. I didn't think that it was a flex game.
Yeah,
but it makes sense. Two playoff bound teams. Pittsburgh is 10-3. I don't know how to be honest with you, with all the distractions this week, with this whole AJ Jalen passing, no passing this week. I'm kind of torn on how to select this game. Like, I feel like if it's not smoothed out, the problems will continue. But it seems like, Sirianni was going to sit down and have a conversation with all the guys. They hold a team meeting every day. So I'm sure at some point it was addressed. I'm hoping that Jalen and AJ and Brandon Graham all sat down today and discussed whatever the issue is and how to fix it. And they were able to piece it up and move on. With that being said, man, I think that it's going to be a Saquon-dominated game again. I feel like despite the issues that we're showing this week, I still think the Eagles will squeeze one out. I'm going to say it's going to be, 28-17 victory.
that's been our number lately. 17. We've been doing a lot of that. So you think Saquon's gonna, even if you think Saquon's still going to do a number on them, even though all this talk about the Eagles need to pass, they're still going to run.
Because it just seems like because of all the distractions, it'd be too predictable to be like, oh, they're going to pass this whole time. You know what I mean? They're going to pass to AJ. If I was the Steelers and I'm looking at this organization from the outside, I'm like, oh, I'm doubling AJ all day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Mark, what do you say?
They're a little interesting to watch the Steelers this year. I've got family members who are Steelers fans. I'm ashamed to admit it. But they've had a pretty good defense. I think if I pulled up here.
Yeah, they do.
They've allowed 27 touchdowns, which is pretty low. I mean, our 25 is a little lower. 27 is pretty low. They're averaging like 300 yards per game, though. I think we're closer to like 250. Bit different. I also think we have better. I mean, it's hard, man. It's really hard. Like, even with all the baloney that's been happening, they've been really inconsistent this season. Not saying that we've been super consistent, but like if you pull up the Eagles schedule, right? And you look up all of our past games this year since our last loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which would have been
right before the bye, week 4.
Since that loss, I wanted to make sure we have not scored less than 20 points.
No.
And we've only allowed more than 20 points once, and that was the Jags. That's pretty consistent ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to win games. Whereas Steelers, on the other hand, you got games with 44 points. You got games where you're putting up 15 or, what was it, 16, 19? Yeah, 18, 13 against the Broncos. Like, it's some, they're kind of back and forth. We know they're probably not going to have Pickens. I don't know if their defense is ready for Saquon. I don't think besides Joey Porter Jr., I don't think they really have much in the way of secondary. Najee Harris could be a problem.
They have still Mika Fitzpatrick. They
got Mika Fitzpatrick. You're not wrong.
They got Patrick McQueen as well.
Patrick McQueen. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out for him. You know, that
And-
might be the key that really hurt Baltimore against us because they didn't have Pat McQueen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, though, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like the Eagles just love to shut up critics when they can, or they like to drag it out. They're like, there's no in between. They like to either do it all at once, or they like to say, "Hey, we barely won again." But you know what? I've just felt really good about this Birds team. You know, I don't see 10 losses left on the season because it's not possible. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, like, why not fight for first? I mean, we're pretty close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steelers,
You
are
still
you
have a
that
chance.
good? Russell Wilson, are you the Russell Wilson of the future, or are you still Russell that wants to ride Broncos country, or whatever you want to do? Weld Steelers weld.
You mean is he dangerous or is he
A problem.
Broncos less ride?
Yeah. pretty much.
Dangerous. Dangerous.
I'm gonna say I think Miguel's on point here with that 17 for the Steelers. I'm thinking I feel like the Eagles. It's just one of those games, boys. It's just one of those games. You know, we had that trap game for a reason. Now we're kind of psyching ourselves up. 38-17. It's one of my go-to numbers. We're just gonna go with that.
38-17.
Some points on these guys, you know. And Jake Elliott, you're gonna make a field goal this week. I believe you.
Is he though? Is
Yeah,
he?
that's a 38 because he's getting a field goal on top of the
Mike, what you're gonna do? What you're gonna stop doing is throwing all this shade on Jake. All right.
Yeah, Jake the Make. Got it, boy.
As somebody who is a big baseball person, right?
Yes.
You know, pitchers and stuff like that, they go through streaks, they go through slumps, right?
They
This is
do.
a slump.
Yeah.
Listen, he's been great up until this point. This is the
He
first
has.
time we've had issues where he's been, you know, either the team has shown him little faith or he just hasn't, you know, been hitting. We have to get behind him. We have to be like what was it the time that we clapped and
For Trey Turner.
Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I was talking about. I said it in our post game. Is that he's not kicking the ball as much. You know, he used to kick for kickoffs.
Kicked like 24 attempts.
Oh no, I'm talking about during kickoffs, he was doing it last year. He was kicking the ball. Like you get a feel for kicking the ball during the game. He doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of players are not doing that.
It's funny. It's one of those things where, and I talk about it all the time in my personal life with hockey, where like I'm noticing one of the big things, and you might remember this a little bit, kind of you know a little bit about hockey. Back in the day, goalies in particular played a lot of games. We're talking 40 plus games a season.
Yeah, not anymore.
Now they're not, and now the stats are worse. They're letting up more goals. They're not doing as well, and it's like, well, yeah, you're cooling down.
Yeah.
You know, it's like pitchers cool down because you have to take a break. So you just threw 100 pitches that night, and your pitchers typically between 30 to 70 are still throwing strikes. You know, towards the end, it's a bit much. If a goalie's facing 50 shots a night, he's tired. You know, if a kicker's going, and if you're like Chris Boswell, where you're the only offense a team has, and you're kicking all the time,
yeah,
you can get a little tired. But if you don't kick enough, it's the same problem. It's almost like a car. You run a car for 150,000 miles, it needs some work. If you buy a car, let it sit for 20 years, it needs some work.
Yeah.
You've got to use it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But also, I mean, just kickers overall. If you look around the league, like look at Justin Tucker. He was missing, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
even
the Panthers kicker was missing stuff too.
Only
exactly.
Detroit kicker doesn't miss.
Who doesn't?
Jake Bates. Detroit. I think he's had one miss all season.
Oh yeah.
He also plays a lot indoors, so
yeah.
Didn't Detroit not play their first outdoor game till week 10 or something like that?
Yeah, it was a long time. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. There's gonna be a point in time where they're all gonna be indoor games. There's not gonna be any more.
I don't know, man.
I mean, Buffalo is starting to build their new stadium, and it's an outdoor stadium.
Yeah. But I'm talking about
Cleveland is building a dome stadium.
Yeah.
Well, they're wanting to because they're trying to being told they will never get a Super Bowl unless it's a dome.
Yeah.
Right.
And their team will never be in the Super Bowl. All right, so my predictions. I've been thinking about it a lot today. If George Pickens was going to play, if he's not going to play, what kind of weapons are Russell Wilson going to have?
Sorry.
what kind of mentality or headspace AJ Brown's going to be in when this
Winning
game,
one.
huh?
A winning one.
You know, I want to hope so, right? Like, they all should be in the winning mentality, right? The headspace of winning, right?
I know so.
You know, granted, like we in the post game, Mark, you brought up Brian Johnson. You were reminiscing about Brian Johnson calls during that game.
There was some crown eating calls being called.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There was some definitely
Yeah.
crown munchers there, and I was like, all right, Kellen Moore, we threw that playbook out.
I don't know how this game is going to pan out. Did they look past the Panthers like I looked past the Panthers? It looked like they did.
They did.
Right? It looked like they did. Are we going to see the Eagles like we did against the Ravens come out like hungry and beat up on a team? I don't know.
We're gonna come out and see AJ Brown with 11 targets and 10 catches this week for 127 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a good game plan right there. That's a good game plan. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Eagles are going to win 24-21. I think it's going to be very close, but 24-21.
I think my uncle's going home sad. My uncle's going home very sad. He sees his team get beat up.
Yeah.
Just like this weekend when I went to my buddy's place, who's a Penn State graduate, and we watched that game. Bro, by the end of the midway through the second quarter, he said, "Go home. This game's over. Go home. I don't want to see you."
Penn State lost, and they still made the playoffs, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They deserve to, though. I mean, they were arguably, they technically going in, like Texas was ranked above them, and Texas lost before the game. So, like, if you were to, quick change of stats, they'd be the number 2 team in the country. They're still going to make the playoffs.
I have 2 questions for you guys. But I have one question before those 2. I have one question for Mark. Shedeur Sanders, should he be considered for the Heisman because he's complaining that he's not being considered? Do you think he should be considered?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why? I mean, let's be honest. Let's look at his own team. Now, his teammate, Hunter, plays both sides remarkably well. That hasn't happened in decades.
Then Dion was the last guy to really do it.
Then you've got Boise State's running back who is unreal as averaging 10 yards a carry isn't normal at any level of football once you get past Pop Warner. That's not real. You don't do that in college. That's not human. That's Heisman. Okay. Dylan Gabriel, not talk about the Ducks, but he is one of the 5. He's about this close to breaking the record Bo Nix just set as being one of the most accurate quarterbacks of all time. And he's thrown like the most yards of all up there. Like he's thrown. I mean, he's played the back-to-back years we've had a quarterback play almost 60 games, which for college is that's just not normal. And you play 12 games a season. You play if you start as a freshman, you're playing 48.
Yeah,
maybe a couple extra if you get to some bowl games. 60 is insane. But that's what we're having with this, leftover from the COVID interruptions. Now, sure, he's good, but you got to remember last year. You have to look at their whole body of work. Last year, he was in a tough conference and he struggled. They went 4-9. This year, he's in a marginally weaker conference, and they've won 9 games, 10 games, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you've got a Heisman player on your team, most likely the winner. You're not a Heisman candidate, my guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They're saying he could be drafted by the Giants now. Giants
or Hunter.
Giant. They're talking about Shedeur.
If the Giants are smart, they're going to trade that pick back to 6.
They should get a whole bunch of stuff.
I saw someone post earlier, and I was like, I love it. Was they're going to trade back to the Raiders for Max Crosby and that top pick?
Yeah.
And you end up with at least a much more solid D line to really solidify with Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah. And then you obviously are going to package other picks with it, but now you're in the 6th. If you love someone, you get them. If not, you either trade back again and should do yourself some more picks to really build out your team. You need O-line, you need some receivers, you definitely need a quarterback. You have a lot of work to do, New York.
I'm excited to watch this draft. This is going to be an interesting draft. All right, so here's the 2 questions for you guys. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. I want you to answer them.
Go first
for me. So the 2 questions are: here's number 1. Does Saquon Barkley break Eric Dickerson's record this year? 2, if he does break that record, is he unanimous MVP? Miguel?
I would have to say yes. I mean, that's a record that's been 40 years waiting to be broken.
40 years.
So yeah, I mean, and especially in a league that's been a passing league for the last 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
You would definitely have to put him at least in the running for MVP. I mean, I don't understand how people don't have it. I mean, yeah, this has been a debatable topic, because if it's a QB award, then the offensive player of the award is for like running backs and wide receivers.
Right.
But I don't see how you can not have him win MVP and break the record. Like if he breaks the record, I think he's automatically MVP.
There has been 3 running backs to average, I think it was like 6.5 yards a game in a 13-week season, and Saquon Barkley is one of them, and Jim Brown is another one. Like, to be in that category as running backs, in my mind, if he doesn't break the record, I think he's still MVP, even if he doesn't break the record. Mark?
So, first and foremost, the first question, does he break the record?
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. I know he's very close. 400 yards. I mean,
483.
43. Remember, just a few years back, I say that probably a decade by now, Adrian Peterson came within 6 yards?
Yeah.
Didn't make it. Now, did Adrian Peterson win the MVP?
Yeah.
Okay. Agreed. Did anyone else look like they were going to win the MVP that year?
I'd have to go back and see who was in the running of that year.
I know I'm young in comparison. I don't remember hearing anything but Adrian Peterson that year. Everyone I knew. I mean, Adrian Peterson, like, we hear Saquon. We're Eagles fans. We're going to hear Saquon.
But everybody's hearing Saquon.
Agreed. But I've got friends who are like, I've talked to that are say like, no, bro, everyone knows it's going to either Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. Nobody's thinking Saquon.
Really?
Or like when I was younger, everyone was talking Adrian Peterson. He was disgusting. But during that year, correct me, I don't remember the stats. Pretty sure Adrian Peterson had like 24 plus touchdowns.
Yeah.
The voting likes to see scoring, and obviously that hurts Saquon. Will he break the record? If he plays all 4 games tremendously, yes. Again, I don't think he's playing all 4 games. I think he's playing 2 more the rest of the season, maybe. Maybe a little bit on the Cowboys, maybe a bit against the Giants. I don't think think about it. If we win Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, and the Lions have lost, and now we are locked number 1 unless we lose to the Giants.
Right. Can't lose that game. Yeah.
No.
So,
but how do you lose that game?
Yeah.
You literally almost can't lose that game. You don't need to risk Saquon. So Saquon's probably going to end up with like 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
Just shy. He'll have like 15 touchdowns. And when it all comes down to it, they're going to look at Joe Burrow and they're going to look at, Josh.
Your buddy, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen plays the best football in all of the sports. And like, how do you not say it's Josh Allen?
He catches his own passes for a touchdown.
Yeah, all right. Marcus Mariota did that against the Chiefs in a playoff game, and it's barely talked about. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, Josh Allen, you're not that cool.
Just for context, what Mark was saying, the year Adrian Peterson won it, the others that were in contention, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning on the Denver Broncos, J.J. Watt in Houston.
That's never gonna happen.
Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Yeah. And then you had Calvin Johnson in Detroit and Matt Ryan in the Falcons.
Yeah, so those are still guys.
They're good names, but I think that year, if you're looking at stats, I feel like nobody was close. I mean, Adrian Peterson was the only thing the Vikings had. And he was still like, he was Barry Sanders-esque in the stat that like anyone who went up against him was like, we only have to stop Peterson and we'll win this game. And they couldn't stop him. Not even close.
Here's the stat I was talking about. It says through 13 games, he has 1,623 yards rushing, 6.1 average, and 11 touchdowns. The only players in NFL history with over 1,600 yards and 6.1 average and 11 touchdowns through 13 games: Jim Brown, 63, O.J. Simpson in 73, and Saquon Barkley. Those are numbers that we haven't seen in 51 years.
Yeah.
51 years.
Long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time. I think because of these numbers, and he's going to continue these numbers for the next at least 3 games.
So here's my other problem.
He's MVP.
Here's my other problem, though. We also play more games than ever before.
Yeah.
Dickerson played what, 14 games?
Started on a week this year, right? One game.
Yeah. But Dickerson played what, like 14 games?
I have to look and see how many games.
Or maybe his was 16. I don't know. Let's see. It was I don't know. Dickerson was a 16-game season.
Yeah.
OJ was just and that was a 14-game season.
Yes, yeah.
So now the estate one has a 17-game season.
Yeah.
And we've had it close with a few players in the past. Arguably, can he beat it? Of course he can. If we utilize him, yeah, he can. Again, I'm saying probably aren't going to utilize him enough to do it. But hey, if we want to chase it, we could. I personally would love to see him as MVP. I'm playing devil's advocate saying that the NFL world hates running backs. We all know that.
Yeah. He'd also be the first Eagle, too. The first Eagle to win an MVP.
Yeah, well, I 100% wholeheartedly believe he should win it, and I would vote for him. And I think even just what he's done so far this year, just a turnaround, how dominant we've been with him, I think it proves it.
Yeah.
The NFL world hates running backs, and I will bet you at the end, you're going to see he'll be on the list. It'll somehow end up being Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, who doesn't deserve to be there. It'll be him and maybe Derrick Henry, and it's going to go to a quarterback because why not?
Right. Yeah, it could. You could very well be right. I know you did earlier in the season. You said Saquon was going to rush for 2,000 yards, and Howie Roseman was going to trade him. So you did say that too.
I did. Yeah,
you did say that.
I will say, looking at how he is as a locker room presence, maybe Howie's smart enough not to trade him.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm curious on how he looked at this whole AJ Jalen situation. If he's like stepped up as a leader and said, "Hey, I played some bad seasons in New York. I've never had a chance to win the Super Bowl. We have a chance to win the Super Bowl in 2 months. Fucking fix this and let's go."
I sure hope. Miguel. I hope you're right by what I hope he did say something because he was around a lot of losing teams. He knows what losing is like. Eagles have not really been a losing team or even an organization since 90.
Most of my life.
Most of Mark's life. Most of Mark's life, Eagles have been a winning.
We've had a couple bad seasons.
Right, but most of your life
with that misery.
Yeah, I've known my dad just screaming and yelling for years and how bad the Eagles were. Like every year they thought that the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl every year, and it's just even if they really didn't have it. Yeah, I think so. Like
painful, bro.
Yeah, Eagles.
Mind you, we hadn't won the Super Bowl yet, so
I never won a Super Bowl.
We have now.
Yeah.
My daughter was born, and we won the Super Bowl.
It's different. It's very different now, as an Eagles fan, and it's just different. Yeah. So I wish it was Sunday because I really want to watch. I really want to see this game. Like, you wait all week. Like this past week, I wait all week to watch a game, and they show up and they do that, and I'm like, what a way! Like. My day is like almost ruined by this day.
Hey, if it makes you feel good. Since I've been born, we've had 6 losing seasons.
That's insane.
It was one of those wins that felt like a loss. It was just
right. Like again, if you listen to the post game, like Miguel, there's like no energy. Like you are down the whole time. Yep. Mine starts out pretty high, and then I dive. It just dives down.
Like I said, I've seen it from the beginning. It was
pretty consistent. Like
I think I can be pretty consistent.
It works. Like this one, it works. Like I consistently just go down when it's Miguel just stays there, and Mark is up. He's up. He keeps it going. Like it's amazing how that kind of all works together like that.
Gotta believe, boys. It's team. It's one of those things. Like I love it. I love whenever he makes a big play. I have his name is just so much fun to say. Like. Like it's just
defense defense wins championships, right? But offense is where it wins games. So you got to win games with this offense, and it just needs to improve, and it just needs to
Right.
I guess yes, they're 11-2, and we're asking them to improve. We're asking them
They are
to
averaging more than 20 points a game.
Right. We just need more points.
It's high.
Just need more points.
I'm surprised
want to
Mark
see
didn't
him.
go. You can't spell defense without Dean.
No, not quite. I'm not that crazy.
You're pretty crazy though. You're pretty crazy.
I mean, hey, I'll say it again, particularly now with the players being mic'd up and you seeing them where Bond comes over and thanks Dean for making, an adjustment, or Carter comes back and says, hey, you made that call. And you're seeing it more and more often. The players know. There's a reason Bond is as good as he is. There's still a reason the green dot's on Dean's helmet.
Yeah.
Dean is right here.
I don't know if you heard the mic where Zach Bond says that he loves how Nick Sirianni trusts them. And he goes, this is why I love that guy. Like, that's what Zach Bond said. That he goes, that's why I love this team. Like, this team,
watch it really close on this next game.
Yeah.
Watch when they get in position and they line up. Focus. I know typically most people focus on the center, quarterback, look at that snap, that play. Focus on Dean and the conversations he's having when he runs up, taps one. When he looks over at Bond, when he looks back at the corners, he makes the quick comments, makes the quick adjustments. They come out and they see the huddle break and where everyone's going, and you see everyone start moving. You see him kind of check in, make sure everyone's covered. And if someone's not, he's the first one like, no, hey bud, your guy's over here.
Yeah. He's doing it. He's really showing up like we thought he would.
And the thing is that like I said, you've got the mental game with him, and then you've got Bond, who if he's not a game wrecker right now, I mean, you can't stop Bond and Carter and Jordan Davis. I think he's not getting enough praise for just locking up gaps. That man, although he has chased people down, which was, I'm sorry. If I'm getting chased down by anyone, Carter might be mean. I do not want to be caught by Davis. That man is big.
Yeah.
You see him get in there and he just, he swallows people up. Derrick Henry ran right into him and just stopped.
Yeah. I don't think the Eagles, I don't think the Steelers can, if they're going to be outmanned. I think, they have an older offensive line. Isaac Seumalo was on that line. He's from 2017. He's an older guy.
I think the biggest thing for us to be concerned about is if Russ is on his game, he is quicker up here than I think Hurts is. He will take every single underneath route you give him. He doesn't care if he's playing dink and dunk football.
Yeah.
He knows how to win the game.
Yeah.
If Russ is on point, we might have a challenging game.
Yeah.
If he's not, it's a blowout.
Yeah. Gentlemen, Mark, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for letting me
Welcome back. Glad you were able to make it this time. Miguel,
ban me. They suspended
as
me.
always, pleasure.
It's always fun doing this with you guys. Always a good stress reliever to talk about our Eagles and
D-U-C. I'm sorry.
But you already know how we do, fellas. EAGLES.
Eagles. Let's go, birds.
Hey, Mike, in light of what's going on, how about we play We Are Family?
Sunshine, bright skies clear, rolling through the hood with no fear. Cousins, brothers, sisters near, love so strong it brings a tear. We are family, together we glow, hand in hand we show love that continues to grow. BBQs and late nights laugh, memories in every photograph. Doesn't matter rich or poor, in this house love is the core. We are family, together we go, hand in hand we show love that continues to grow. Purity in every beat, rhythm moves our dancing feet. Future bright, paths on the street, together we're the ultimate feat. Through the highs and the lows, brothers, sisters, friends and foes, we rise above and take control. Family forever, heart and soul. We are family, together we go, hand in hand we show love that continues to grow. We are family, together we grow, hand in hand we show love that continues to grow. in every photograph. Doesn't matter rich or poor, in this house love is the core. We are family, oh, together we go. Hand in hand we show love that continues to grow. We are family, oh, together we go. Together we go. Hand in hand we show. Hand in hand we show that continues to grow. Love that continues to grow. We are family, oh, one beat in every beat. Rhythm moves our dancing feet. Future bright paths on the street. Together we're the ultimate feat. We are family, oh, through the highs and the lows. Brothers, sisters, friends, and foes. We rise above and take control. Family forever, heart and soul.